Everyone, hello and welcome. Oh, the camera's on.
Cue the Seinfeld. Oh, the cameras. How long have you been watching? Did you see all of that?
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is DSP News, the unreliable ones. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the newsroom. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have a very, very special report for you. LowTierGod versus DSP. The match, the rematch, if you will, that never was. What it could have been, how both men could have benefited from it, and how a ghost from the past of both of these men still haunts them to this very day. I'm going to attempt to break down this situation as best I can. Not just a matter of my own investigation and background visually watching a lot of these things happen, but I'm also going to fill in some blanks as best I can. Also, we're going to delve a little bit into LowTierGod's background. Now, there's quite a bit there. I'm not going to get into, I'm not going to get into everything because there's some dirt there, and I'm not going to do all that. But what we will do is get into some of his dirt as it pertains to the FGC. His background and some of the beefs that he's had. Some of them that I've chosen that I felt that were befitting. And he addresses one of them with Vince and what could have been and how lucrative that deal could have been. We're going to talk about that, and I'm going to show you a video that actually shows the aftermath of that. The embarrassment, if you will, that LowTierGod took at the hands of Vince in that race to 10. Also, I'm going to bring up another competitor later on who went 50-0 on LowTierGod in a single night. Absolutely amazing. I wanted to grab you footage, and it's just brutal. So I will link the video down in the description. It's about 2 hours long. It's a hard watch. So I got to tell you, I give LowTierGod a lot of credit. He tried, but he essentially just got decimated by a player that was leaps and bounds above him, who was able to essentially break down his movements before he even did it after a while. He already knew what LowTierGod was thinking. It was terrible. And in real time, Reddit, SRK, Capcom United, and I think Event Hubs were all basically like keeping track of this all in real time. Hence one of the reasons why LowTierGod's name is as big as it is. This is going to be a journey. There's a lot of videos. There's a lot of stuff to unwrap, but I hope you guys will enjoy it. And I hope that for the most part, if not flushing out the full story, I can at least push you guys to the right direction if you guys would like to dig into this further, or at least give you guys a better understanding, if at all possible, on why maybe LowTierGod turned this all down. So I'll present you with some facts, give you my opinion at the end. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys all know how this works. This is DSP News, always late, never breaking, unreliable coverage that you can't count on. A GTG network and productions. You guys all know the slogan. It's time to watch me work. We'll be starting off our first video with Button Check here. There's actually 3 videos from him, all back to back to back. And let's go ahead and get into it.
Heard by now. I just heard about this yesterday, so of course I had to talk about it, that none other than the infamous DSP himself seems to be in a pickle once again. Now this dude, if you don't know him, he has a pretty bad reputation as far as getting into some shit. He was caught supposedly stroking it on stream not too long ago.
Yet again, Button Check basically does fighting game news. Very good at it. He also is a competitor. He also goes to tournaments and things of that sort. A friend of his on the show also participates and whatnot, so he knows his stuff. The reason why I've chosen this particular video is because I want you guys to kind of see what the FGC thinks of DSP. Not only of his situation of DsPgaming being demonetized, but how when DSP tries to flex, how at least in a small part, in a small way, on how the community actually views him. I think it's important.
known for like cheating or talking shit or just doing some grimy stuff.
He was the guy that got caught masturbating in front of children. I think he's like 30. He's like in his 30s or something. He's in his 30s and he did that in front of children.
That's right. Yes.
But I've seen so much. I'm a fan. What? I don't know what to say.
Of course, and I did it on purpose. That's why I'm still on Twitch and I'm still on YouTube and not banned, right?
Yeah, so you didn't get banned, you didn't get fired from any MCNs or anything, right?
No.
You didn't get fired from the cinema? No? No?
No, I didn't.
No? Oh, you didn't, you didn't get released? And what about Lavaria? Lavaria,
oh
what did
my
they do?
God.
They dropped you.
No, they
cut
didn't.
you when they found out that video.
I read this tweet the other day, yesterday, that said DSP can't monetize his videos anymore because he's a fucking moron that had a false AdSense account and that got disconnected and Curse fired him. I think this is the end. For those of you that don't know, what AdSense is basically something that a lot of YouTubers, most of them, do on their channels. It's to where you can have ads. Now, there's different ways to do that, but basically, the more people you have watch your channels and, you know, the ads that kind of go by, and there's different versions of ads, but basically, the more views, the more money you make. Now, what's interesting about this statement, it says he created a false AdSense account. I don't know how you even do that. Like, you have to be some kind of fucking hack or like technical dude or something like that. I don't know. If you guys know, hit me up in the comment section because I've actually never heard of that. But of course, instantly people started expressing their opinion saying, I feel like we say
Now, he's not the only one. I was contacted by someone who has a bit of has a better insight into that whole situation. I hope to be able to speak to him hopefully this week and see what can kind of come out of this conversation. And I hope that in my actual report directed towards DSP and this whole AdSense situation, I can give some more clarity. But besides this individual, which I appreciate you reaching out to me if you're watching this video, some other people had reached out and said, hey man, I think it's bullshit. Hey man, how is it that someone can pull this off, this, that, and the third? And yet again, one way of looking at it is the fact that DSP's reach, which is kind of silly, and not just on YouTube but on Twitch. For him to be able to survive that long, to get away with what he's getting away with, one of the big things on Twitter currently is an emote was made of the DSP Muppet, which is great, by the way. It's fucking beyond great. It's just amazing. It is what it is. It exists, and everybody acknowledges it, and that's all that needs to be said. That's where it's at. It's omnipotent in some ways. A Twitch streamer had used it as one of his emotes, and that shit got banned almost immediately. That's bullshit. It's an emote of somebody else's creation, and somehow DSP got that banned. It's a goddamn shame, to be honest. In any case, we're still looking into that here at GTG Network and Productions. Give us a little time, and hopefully something comes out of it. Let's continue.
This is the end of DSP every year. Dude's like a cockroach. And of course, it's because he seems to get into some shit every year, but he always manages to find his way back. Another dude goes on to say it seems pretty legit now. He literally can't make any money off of YouTube now, and he can't appeal it because he's broke. TOS hardcore. Now, I actually did verify this. I went to the dude's channel and it looks like it is legit. He posted a video 2 days ago basically saying that he was penalized. They took away his monetization. He's trying to appeal it, but he also says it doesn't look good. It blows my mind that he would just abandon his channel like that because he can't monetize it no more. This channel that he's put into so much work over the years, where people know him from and they go because they know that
now this is really interesting, because this is something that if you're a DSP, if you're a detractor, a troll, a hater, or a fan of detractors, you kind of understand why DSP is going to walk away from it. You know better. But to an outsider, you don't. He's not a detractor channel, by the way. Okay? Button Check is something strictly, you know, FGC news, and you know what I'm saying, and up and coming events or whatnot. DSP, believe it or not, was part of the FGC at one time, and certainly is a laughing stock of it. And he is the example in a lot of ways of what not to be. So he's going to get some coverage over something like this because there's a lot of people who know him or know of him. With that being said, the fact that someone who has not walked upon the abyss of gout doesn't understand the doubt that goes into why would someone who've had a channel this long be willing to walk away from it. And this is something that I've told you, ladies and gentlemen, almost since the beginning. If you're not financially beneficial to him, you're nothing to him, to be honest. It's just the way of the world. And if my investigation ends up proving anything, if DSP ends up getting his AdSense back on DsPgaming in, I'm recording this on the 1st, by the 20th, which would be about a month, then my source was bang on about what he thinks. Now, like I said, I need further clarification, and I hope to be able to bring that to you soon. You know how I get down here. I stay late about shit. But I like to think that it's not a waste of time when you watch it. If it is, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. In any case, let's continue. There's no surprise on why he'll walk away from it.
His channel, and he's just gonna leave it just like that. Like, oh my, just because he can't monetize. There's so much more you can do with the channel than monetize it. So much more than registrants. I'm just playing. That's a callback to yesterday. But there's so much more that you can do with your channel than that. It has to be more than that. And I know this is kind of... So apparently, if you haven't heard by now, LTG himself, low tier...
Now, no, brother, sorry, it isn't. We're transitioning into the second video. There isn't anything more than that. For someone who has a channel with 100,000 plus subscribers, almost 200,000, and you can't monetize, people will find other ways to network. People would use it as a platform to promote something else. They would be able to, if possible, use that, the brick and mortar of that, to build something else. The problem is we're dealing with a roach, and with that, we're dealing with a roach nest. And if a little bit of pressure comes upon that nest, everything scatters. Everything. It's just how he is. It's just how his community is, his fan base, the pig roach cult, whatever you want to call them. The lack of creativity, the lack of forethought, the lack of ingenuity, the lack and the unwillingness to change is one of the things that holds DSP back in a way that no detractor ever could. I understand that people like using Freddy Boy as the boogeyman, and I can understand that. And whenever something bad happens to DSP, in some way, he has to be behind it. He has to be the mastermind. I can't say that he did or he didn't. But what I will tell you, if there is something greater, a greater thorn in Phil's side, a greater crucifix that crucifies Phil to the brink of his goutness, it's by far himself. He is his own Judas Iscariot. Nothing said. Not Tevin, not SOK, not Freddy Boy, not anybody hurts DSP like DSP. If anybody pees on his hands and just wipes it off and continues to have to smell it all day, it's Phil. It is what it is. He is his worst enemy. And for the rest of you, for the rest of humanity, if you will, you're merely there to take the blame, so he can feel better about himself when he goes to bed at night. That's how this works. I hope that throughout this video you'll get that understanding. And more importantly, you might even see a bit of the similarities between LowTierGod and DSP. They're by far two different men, but they sure as hell have some similar tendencies. DSP News.
God was actually banned, kicked off of Twitter because he got into a fight with a fellow FGC member. Now, I don't have all the pieces to this one because...
Now, this happened today. This happened August 1st, Wednesday, August 1st, 2018. I also tried to look for some of those tweets. By now, at the time I'm recording this, there's a bunch of stuff archived, but before there wasn't. So it is what it is because his account is gone. Now, granted, if any of you guys have followed LowTierGod or know of him for any period of time, this ain't nothing new. LowTierGod has had his Twitter banned quite a few times, and he always bounces back. How long will he be suspended? We're not sure. Some people believe it's a permaban. Some people think it's not. We'll have to wait and see. LowTierGod has never just not come back to Twitter. he'll be back. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, he'll be back.
Because like I was saying, LTG is gone. His Twitter is gone, so it's very hard to locate any of his tweets, but I was able to get a few of them. And before we start, you may want to go ahead and duck behind the sofa, maybe watch this episode from behind the table, because shots will be fired in this episode of Button Check. Let's go. Now getting into it, we'll break it down from all angles, but LowTierGod actually posted this tweet before he was kicked off entirely, and it says, I just lost another Twitter account with almost 8,000 followers for arguing with a fellow black man about a video game. I didn't use one threat, yet I got suspended for using the N-word. But threats were used towards me and his account is still standing. No matter what I do, black people have always been my biggest haters and have caused me to lose some type of money. Okay, so the tweets that LTG is referring
now, I want you to try to remember this as this video goes on, because when we get to Vince Scants later, this is going to be important. It's going to be important why LowTierGod said what he said in his video, and then I'll explain exactly why. And I will get to one of the underlying reasons that he ended up turning DSP down. I'm not trying to turn this into I'm not trying to do no SJW shit. It's none of those type of things. But I want to give you a glimpse into what his mindset was, at least my own personal opinion, at that particular time. And I'll try to break down that situation. And yet again, the monkey that's still on his back after all these years.
When he came at Ice, and for those of you that don't know who Ice is, I actually referred to him in a couple other videos, but he's a Gal player, a Gal main. He's come to a lot of Texas events. I'm not sure exactly where he's from. He might be from like Oklahoma or something like that. He's been in the scene for like years, and he's a dope guy. Every time I've known him, he's actually a real chill dude, and I've actually really liked him because, of course, he mains Gal, and so do I. And these are the tweets that LTG was referring to before they got deleted, talking to Ice. Right here, he posted at him, exactly, you're clout chasing. You want a name, and I'm not giving a name to some hating ass, clout chasing, fake ass blank, and you mad now, you blank, and don't ever test my energy. My levels are the same online and off. LTG goes on to say, hold up a second, am I supposed to be scared of you blank? And ducked what tweet, you lame ass blank? Damn, there's a lot of blanks in this one. That's what she said. She really did say that. So Ice comes back.
Mine didn't. Anyway, with that being said, the situation that LowTierGod had here, which you'll find out at the end of this, was a complete misunderstanding. It didn't need to go that route. And as it pertains to LowTierGod's energy, online as well as off, from the people that I've heard who have actually been to tournaments with him, who have had a chance to talk to him, this, that, and the third, he comes across as a nice guy. The whole get that ass banned and all that kind of stuff is more of a persona than anything. And he just comes across as a pretty nice guy. You know what I'm saying? He's not really looking for no heat with nobody. I'm sure if he's backed in a corner, he's going to actually defend himself. I'll give him at least that much credit compared to DSP. But to sit there and to kind of pull this heat right here on Twitter is a bit unnecessary. Like, you don't need... I mean, keep the internet, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? We don't need to be taking that shit offline and turning into what essentially the Call of Duty community where motherfuckers are swatting each other and dudes are getting killed. Just something to think about. This shit's not funny anymore. But I'll also get into the era that LowTierGod and DSP came from and what they represent. And maybe why, or maybe that's why I should say, why this happened.
Back at LTG saying clout chasing, I responded to you directly. I could understand if I quoted your tweet. Secondly, how would me beating you give me clout? Real players already know what's up. You're a black Maximilian. Oh my God, a black Maximilian. I'm just trying to picture what that would look like in my head. A black Maximilian. Jesus? Okay, after Black Maximilian, he continues saying, you're here for the views. Otherwise, your mentality about fighting games would change. Now, at that point, it seems like LTG actually questioned his posting or the level of skill that Ice has. Ice responded saying, I haven't placed, ? LOL. Only one person in this tweet has gotten top 8 at a major and top 64 at Evo. I won't harp on other postings. I'll give you a hint. It's not you. Oh, damn. Ow. I got hit by that one. Y'all get hit by that one? Damn, I might have internal bleeding in this bitch. bitch. He goes on to add, the only reason why you're more known is because you went on E-League and lost, ? You don't even go to tournaments, and if you do, you're wasting your money. I don't know how many times I have to tell you, I can't clout from someone who doesn't have clout. Anyone can rage on YouTube and streams. And then Ice reloads the Glock that is his iPhone, puts the bullets into Twitter and says, I'm still waiting on you to show me some results. Every time I show up, I do well. Nothing less than top 64. You're struggling to make it out of pools, my friend. I have news for you. I don't know how you view yourself, but nobody thinks you're good but you, and that's okay.
God damn! Ice! Easy, brother. Easy. Jesus Christ. Let's stop this black on black crime. Have we not seen enough of this with Drake and Meek Mills? Let's please stop. Let's stop. Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
I did it. That was it. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm gone, y'all. I'm gone. And then Perfect Legend jumps in too, and he says to LTG, Ice wasn't against you, man. It shouldn't have even came to all this. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I hope most of you are still alive. Some of you probably need first aid. You probably done called 911. Paramedics is on the way right now because of all them shots they were fired. I hope the children were out the way of this video, y'all, because lives were in danger with all of these shots. All in all, y'all, I know I completely had fun with this on my part, but this is the real, y'all. The realness of this matter. Like, I know LTG. Now, I'm not really cool homies with him. I do know him. I've talked with him, and I have no beef with him. At the same token, I know Ice, and I have no beef with him either. Ice has actually been real cool to me since day one. And I can tell you firsthand that because of the way this happened, I know Ice must have been irked really bad. He must have been feeling it, and he must have been feeling like this was needed to do. Not only did he do it, but when he did it, LTG got banned. Like, that's hard. That's hardcore. That's like bodying somebody, you know what I'm saying? Ice goes on to say, though, he doesn't leave it there. The next day, I believe, he says, I'm not sorry for what I said, but I apologize about how I said it. I got out of character for sure, so I ask you guys to forgive me and charge it to the game. Proving my point that he doesn't usually act like that. But, you know, the FGC spoke back. Basically, everybody said the same thing. They were like, no, it's all good. We understand. It was needed, stuff like that. If somebody was about to do it and it must have been you, you're our hero, you know, basically stuff like that. Busta adds on to this saying, people with no character can say and do whatever they want because they have no standards. Someone with character can't break it without having to do damage control. I have no problem defending what you said. People need to speak up sometimes. Thank you guys for watching. And then LowTierGod actually adds to it as well.
Okay, now, that last tweet, I think, addresses DSP in a whole lot of ways. But what that was there in that last video package, if you will, is the culmination of LowTierGod over the years calling black people all kinds of nonsense and constantly believing that they have been holding him back out of jealousy and this, that, and the third. And which is strange because last time I checked, a lot of the people that support him are black. And in a lot of ways, it goes back to what the era, if you will, that him and DSP come from. Let me explain. So DSP comes from a particular background, at least in the FGC back in his day, where it wasn't about clout. As you know now, clout has, I guess you could say, that respect has evolved in the clout, if you will, devolved if you want. But it was really about respect. It was about building up your name. And with DSP went about it the way DSP would go about it. All he got was negativity, so he built off the negativity, because that's all he was going to get. But then, when he wanted recognition, instead of him throwing it into everybody's face and whatnot, and him just trying to be humble about it, and saying, well, I'm glad I was able to make it as far as I did for my country, or whatever the case may be. Oh, I'm 4th place. The rest of you guys are scrubs. Then he gets challenged to not play his little side tournament gimmicky PS1 horrible port. When they were like, okay, come to an actual cabinet and come get this work, DSP lost. And then what did DSP do when he lost? He went home and made excuses, which is ironic because he himself said, oh, Alex Valle and John Choi, what kind of excuses they give when they lose to him. And come to find out, he lost. And he holds on to that to this very day, which is the reason why he clinches on to that 4th place finish as hard as he does, because it's all he has. It's the only thing that he can kind of shield himself with, or actually it's not even a shield anymore. It ain't strong enough. Ain't nothing hard about it. He blankets himself in that. It's the only way to comfort himself. It doesn't shield him from anybody. The FGC takes shots at that shit all day. But for him, it's enough comfort. It has enough snuggle in it when the last time Panda washed it to bring him that little bit and whatnot. He's like, I was somebody. They all hate me for no reason. They're jealous. That's what it is. They're jealous. I always have you 4th place finish. I always have you. And that's all he really does have. He has nothing else. Even his win over Justin Wong, which I ended up having to do some research on that. I apologize about that. I said that in a previous report that in 2005 he didn't beat Justin Wong, which he didn't. He ended up beating him in either 2006 or 2007. I actually have some video on that, not in this video, but I do have it. We'll talk about that in another video. So he did end up beating him in a super tournament. I think it was Evo East. So he has that. But even then, you know what I'm saying? Even then, Phil over-exaggerates that story and makes it seem bigger than it really was. So there you go on that. In any case, he came from an era where you made shit on your name. LowTierGod is like the remnants of that, so to speak, and the transition, and is kind of the transition into what we have now, where the FGC wants to be taken seriously. They want to be on ESPN. A lot of the guys are starting to dress up in suits and ties and whatnot, kind of like the Smash community, and more importantly, like Dota, League of Legends, Warcraft, things like that, or Starcraft, sorry, and things of that sort, to where the big money can be drawn in. The FGC is not there yet, but it's certainly trying to. And LowTierGod, I feel, in my own personal opinion, is kind of on the borderlines of those two. He's right there with the old school, talk shit to build up hype. And yet he's trying, and yet at the same time, he still falls into this new era where everybody needs to kind of hold some type of, there has to be some code of ethics, so to speak. And he's right there on that borderline. He's kind of like that rebel, if you will. One of the things that hurts LowTierGod, in my own personal opinion, as it pertains to his playing style, is he doesn't adapt well in the beginning. Also, when he has tools, he's at his worst point. And I know that seems weird. When he has bar, when he has V-trigger and all that, for some reason, things don't click. When all of that is gone, when his back is against the goddamn wall, and he really has to knuckle up and fight, he's respectable. He may be even a little bit more than respectable. I like him better when he doesn't have bar and he doesn't have V-trigger and he has no choice but to fight or die. I like that LTG more than when he has tools, because for whatever reason it gets squandered, it gets wasted, whatever the case may be. Do I think LowTierGod is terrible as a player? No. I think that he hasn't found a way to put it all together yet. He still has time, but he just hasn't figured out a way to put it all together yet. As it pertains to his persona and just his history in general, what happened on Twitter was probably no different than any other time he ended up getting banned off Twitter. It is what it is. You kind of have to find the line between what's entertainment and then what you're really willing to chase after. And if you're planning on chasing it, what are you willing to give up to chase it? To be honest. Sometimes it's just not worth it. And then LowTierGod was in his feelings, and maybe if he had actually read the situation a little better, which is hard to fuck that up, I've done it too, I'm sure all of us have, he would have looked at it and been like, damn, I didn't need to go that way. I didn't need to go that route. But that's neither here nor there. In any case, the era that these men come from is kind of one of the reasons why things are the way they are, in a lot of ways. Because, especially with DSP, there aren't a lot of guys like DSP. And from from his time period, it's a mental type thing with him, and all he did was try to use his circumstances, use his surroundings to justify it. Whereas LowTierGod is, instead of it, LowTierGod wants clout. Well, he feels that he has clout. He feels like he's in a position where he has it. And that's because so many people have benefited from him in some way, shape, or form. Or have made themselves look better. And to be the bad, he is your classic bad guy. He's someone who you almost always assume he's going to lose in that big match, but yet you want to see the pop-off leading up to that match, and you're hoping to see something juicy afterwards. Not violence, nothing like that, but you're wanting to hear him justify it and just pick who his next target is. And that's kind of what he's fallen into, to be honest. He may just have a little bit more respect than DSP. Or maybe not. Hard to say. I would say he has way more respect than DSP does. But after a while, some of those people get tired of it too. Because if you're going to chase clout, then you need to have something to back that clout up. You know what I'm saying? You need to have some, as most people would say, as Tevin says, you need receipts. Sorry. You need receipts. You need something to show that you're as good as you think you are. But that's neither here nor there. But that's also something from that era too. Let's continue.
Well, now I want to emphasize that this is not one big thread where everybody is just posting. Everybody just kind of posting their own thoughts and stuff like that after the E-League, you know, their own observations. And then LTG says, how do all you stay motivated to compete in SF5 when you'll never make what big names make? LTG, being a realist like he always is, pretty much just speaking his mind, puts it out there like, if you know you're not going to be a big name, you don't have 6 hours to dedicate like all these other guys do per day, why even compete? And then of course, the FGC responds. First, Gustavo, aka 801 Strider, says, it's not about the money. It's about the love of competition and the road to self-improvement. Money is a result of that. And the part that it gets hilarious to me is DSP actually joins this conversation and says, when I played at a high level pre-Street Fighter 4...
Now, this is going to be important because as you've seen, or as you're going to see, as you've seen if you've been following us for any period of time, and what you will see moving forward, is with LowTierGod, he's kind of gotten to that point where if I can't financially benefit from it, it's a waste of my time. In a lot of ways, it's how DSP is. Except for DSP takes that shit to a whole nother level of just depravity. He's got no sensibility about it. He certainly he's got no character about it. He's not humble about it in any type of way. And sadly, he has no shame, which is the reason why he can get down and dirty like that and be okay with it. That's how he sleeps at night. He really believes he's justified in what he's doing, especially now where he feels like after 10 years you guys owe him. It's absolutely ridiculous. But I want you to see the kind of difference in between. LowTierGod's like, hey, if you guys will never make the money that the big name guys are, so why do you guys care so goddamn much? Which is strange that LowTierGod would even say that, being he's been in this situation for a long ass time. And then let's hear DSP go ahead and try to, hoof off his relationship, or snort that shit out, and see who cares. And if anybody decides to go ahead and fry up them pork rinds.
There was no real money to be made, so you played games for the love of it, and nobody played games they didn't like. A far cry from today where people grind it out in shitty games like Street Fighter V just to make money doing it. And then my boy Felis Cactus, not sure who the hell this dude is, responds back to DSP and says, you've never been high level though. And then Phil, aka DSP, responds back, 4th at Evo Nationals, won Evo East twice, and placed at all other regional qualifiers, won numerous tournaments with documented results. You are a moron. And also, I don't know why he left it out, but if I were Phil, aka DSP, I would have said, and I was also first to come first on a live stream. Thank you. Thank you. Woo! Get it? See what I did? Did I come first on the live stream because he was caught checking? Thank you. Woo! I'll be here all weekend, y'all. Button check. And scene. All right, thank you. We are back from the nonsense. So he posts his resume basically, and then UA Devil May Care responds, that's some good shit, I'll give it up to you. But then my boy Matt, no idea who he is once again, says, but you were never good. At one.
Okay, now, that was great. Thank you yet again, the button check. Check out his channel, The links to those 3 videos will be in my description. Like I said, do check out his channel if you're interested about the FGC and what goes on. He posts once a day, and then he has his own show on Sundays, I believe. It's a good watch. And like I said, if it's just something, it's another change of pace. It's something different, and you guys should be open for that. Now, Vince Can, the ghost from the past, essentially, that haunts both DSP and LowTierGod. DSP gets it first. This right here is going to be the story of DSP online talking his shit, gets called out, and then puts himself in a very bad situation and tries so hard to stay face that in a lot of ways what should have happened didn't happen, and because it didn't happen, it actually hurt him worse. It actually made him look that much weaker, which led to what comes next after that. And then how that basically is one of the reasons why, allegedly, he was shunned from the FGC. At least some say. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Sometime between 2005 and 2006, Phil had been talking a lot of trash over the internet to Viscant, legendary West Coast Marvel and Street Fighter player who still plays today. He had been doing so for months, but Viscant finally had enough and challenged Phil to a money match at that year's EVO. Viscant was confident Phil wouldn't accept his challenge, knowing very well that he could beat Phil at any game they played. Phil did his best to squirrel his way out of the challenge and jokingly asked that they fight in real life instead, presumably believing that Viscant wouldn't accept. Phil actually challenged Viscant to a fistfight at EVO. However, what Phil didn't expect was that Viscant would actually accept. And unbeknownst to Phil, Viscant had extensive experience in combat, having probably been in more gym fights in the past 2 months than Phil had been in his entire life. Over the next few months, Phil continued to organize the fight, hoping that Viscant would end up backing down from the challenge. They even organized the signing of documents, releasing them from liability in the event of serious injury. And genuine debate was had regarding who would serve as a referee, and whether or not there would be a weight limit. Viscant would later write that it sounds like a total farce, except I can assure you that it was 100% serious, which makes us both look like total, complete fucking idiots. Leading up to EVO, Phil learned from West Coast players visiting an East Coast tournament that Viscant was dead set on seeing the fight through, and he was informed of Viscant's fighting experience. Phil was rather shook, learning that he may have to actually fight Viscant. He messaged Viscant asking to call the fight off, and proposed that they, quote, pretend like we're going to fight, and then when a whole crowd is around us, we both do DX crotch chops to the crowd. It'll be such a goof. Viscant initially refused, genuinely wanting to fight.
How much of a bitch are you for that, DSP? How much of a bitch are you for that? At that particular point, you should have went up to Viscant and been like, you know what, man? I just don't want to get my ass beat, man. Let's just call it off, and then we go our separate ways. That's what you should have did. But see, Phil was like, oh well, if I can get him on board with this, we'll just say fuck you to the crowd, and then they'll hate both of us, and then it won't be so bad. You know what I'm saying? And he'll take some of my heat, and then I can just scurry away back to my rock. That's what Phil was thinking. The thing is about Vince Can is he's always been a stand-up guy. And he's always been one of these people who, if, you know, someone stepped to him, as LowTierGod ended up doing many years later, he's there. He's there. And that's the reputation that the man has. Yeah, he talks shit and this, that, and the third, and there's a bunch of banter and whatnot. But once you start taking shit too far, then shit needs to ramp up. That's what men do. Preferably, you can talk it out. It should be talked out. I'll talk to anybody who has some common sense. You know what I'm saying? We can work things out, you know, through words. It should be. That's how it should be. That's how men handle it. But if you want to keep with your bantering and all your bullshit, or well, it's not even bantering at that point. You just want to go to your shit talking and your threats. I'm just gonna walk away from it because it's not really worth the time. Put hands to me, then we find out who walks away from that. If either one of us do. Now, that's not me talking like a tough guy. That's just how men act. Everything can be worked out without bringing violence into play. But DSP, whether it was jokingly or not, should have never even brought it there. Because back in DSP's day, motherfuckers were really about that heat. Like, dudes were not playing around with that. On the East and the West. Midwest especially. the Midwest, at least the Midwest FGC, were some pretty cool guys, some pretty stand-up guys to my general understanding. But they'd throw hands with any of them. Whoever wanted can get it. Especially them boys from Detroit. They were nothing to play with, or Michigan in general. They just, Kansas City too. They just weren't St. Louis. Those guys just weren't nothing to play with. You know what I'm saying? And Phil should have known that. But see, Phil looked at Vince Canton, and like I said, he was a rather small guy, and he thought he could impose his will on him, and he thought wrong, and then goes into a bitch move like this. How are you going to disgrace wrestling by doing some silly shit like that? And just in case you guys don't know, what Phil was trying to do was a reference to what Shawn Michaels did with Mike Tyson to screw over Stone Cold Steve Austin before WrestleMania that particular year. And interestingly enough, Shawn Michaels in real life, who has a whole lot more guts than DSP, has gotten his ass handed to him in real life quite a few times. And he kept taking the beating because he wanted to prove that even if he lost the fight, he was still man enough to stand his ground. And he took quite a bit of ass whoopings over it. Jim Cornette, as well as plenty of other wrestlers, have talked about that. I don't know. If you guys ever want me to do a wrestling video talking about a particular subject, at least if I know about it, we'll go over it and whatnot. Not really a historian, but I keep my eyes, I keep my ears to the ground, and I keep my eyes to the sky. So let's continue.
Phil, but he would later agree to just drop it. Afterwards, there was little animosity between the two. Many people disliked Phil in the FGC, and as a result, he was routinely confronted by people he shit-talked online. Despite his repeated claims of superiority over other players, he almost never backed them up. One of the more memorable examples was when Jaha, a West Coast player and former Marine, confronted Phil with some friends at EVO 2002. To many witnesses, it seemed as if they were on the verge of attacking him before Viscant stepped in to defuse the situation.
And, fucking those videos.
The hell? Now keep in mind, as they said, after Viscant and DSP's little thing, no hard feelings, whatever. And then later on, the man ends up coming up and pressing Phil, and guess who comes out of his way to be like, hey man, just let it all go. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't want none of that. Just let's let it all go. Now, that story is essentially lore. That's how things actually happen. Now, what ends up happening to Phil after that, whether cowering in the corner, running to the bathroom crying, this, that, and a lot of people saw a lot of things at a lot of different times. So you got to dig for those things. But this is what Phil is. That's how Phil's been. So you think he would have any type of problem of bullying a bunch of kids, you know what I'm saying, on a stream, which is his only real source of power, which is his only real pompous? It's the only place he can spit his propaganda and no one can really touch him. Do you guys understand the reason why he doesn't want to leave his house without Cat or Panda? Unless it's late at night? Do you see why he lives in this state of perpetual paranoia? He is what he is because of the life that he's lived and what he's built up around him. A detractor didn't put him in that spot. He put himself there. And instead of being a man, fighting that shit out, if that's what it was going to end up happening, or at least talking that shit out, he had to have somebody else step in and do it for him while he cowered in the corner, because that was his only defense mechanism. But yet he's got all these kids out here thinking that he's Billy Badass and he's ready to put hands with anybody. And yet he talks about the detractors are sick people, this, that, and the third, and they just want to hurt me. If someone wanted you, Phil, they'd have came and got you. Now, I'm not promoting that. I'm not endorsing that. He's not worth it. By far, he's not worth it. Give him enough time. He'll do himself in. I'm not playing. He will. Just give him time. And I don't wish that upon him, but he'll do it on his own. You don't have to do anything. Keep laughing at him. It hurts him more than anything. Because the people who did try to help him, SOK at one time, Almighty Tevin, Theo, I feel, Theo's always giving him good advice. Argent's another one who's constantly giving him good advice. He disregarded all that. And even if he only took bits and pieces of everything that they said and was able to put it together, he could have made something happen for himself. But he can't. He's too deep now. We're at the river card, and it's time to show cards. He has nothing else. And whatever power and influence that he flexes on YouTube and Twitch, respectfully, will mean nothing soon. Because they'll only protect him for so long. Give him time. He'll do himself in. On every platform, on anything he touches, it turns to shit. And he can do nothing about it. Because he swears up and down that he did nothing wrong. Galtopia is about to be conquered. It's just a matter of which one of us stake our flag on it first. Is it going to be Tevin? Is it going to be Memology 101? Is it going to be Theo? Arjun wants to be diplomatic. I respect that. Is it going to be Snort Burnell? If Snort Burnell even feels that it's even worth it, it might just be better just to own his soul on media, which would certainly hurt even more. Is you know what I'm saying, Mr. Huff stuff. It's just you got to understand, ladies and gentlemen, if you really think about it. And this is going to be, I hope you guys get where I'm coming from. This is essentially the Cold War, and it's just the matter. And you have all these different states, Tevins, Snort Burnells, all these different people that are just in the race to see who gets the Galtopia first. And the funny thing is about all of that, and about all of those players that are on the board, none of them are really trying, and yet Phil swears to God they're at the gate. The barbarians are at the gate and they're ready to come in. The Mongols are there. And you guys and all you kids need to go ahead and defend me to your last dying breath. No backstepping whatsoever. If not, you'll be cut down by the next group, which is Swaggins, Golden Colts, and the rest of them. There is no retreat in this, ladies and gentlemen. That's why he needs people to step up on YouTube. But if he had taken my advice and just given YouTube as much attention as he did Twitch, Patreon would still be strong. But I'm just a stupid fucking detractor, so what the fuck I know. Yet, when it played out, oh, it's the detractor's fault that it happened this way. And you guys didn't step up. You as my fans should have not only attacked him, but you should have given me every last goddamn dime you had. If I need the shirt off your back, guess what? You should have given it to me. Because I've given you all these years of entertainment. You owe me. You don't owe him a goddamn thing. You don't owe him anything whatsoever. You've given this man your financial security in some ways, and you've given him your time. Two of the most valuable things that you'll ever really have. Time especially. You can always make your money back up, but you can't get your time back. And some of them are young and are too young to really know that. The rest of y'all are certainly old enough to know that. In any case, this is what you're defending. This is what Christendom looks like to you. This is what Galtopia was made of. Okay? It was not made off of brick and mortar. It was made off salt. It was made off tears. It was made off failure. And that's all he's ever brought to this. And you guys praise him for it. You guys love him for it. You cherish him for this. And then you have the nerve to be surprised when he says you disappoint him. And then what do you guys do? You come rushing to him and being like, we're sorry, Dave, we'll do better next time. And then what does he do? Well, apparently recently, he called you guys a bunch of fucking idiots. Because you guys are a bunch of idiots. The man's never appreciated anybody in his goddamn life. Why would he appreciate you? If you want people to respect you, you have to have respect for yourself. If you are willing to get on your knees, if you're willing to take the knee to a man who can't even get on his own knees because of gout, or unless he's confronted, then what do you expect? Men like Phil are cowards. They're scared. And they're only less scared if they can impose their will on others. But let's continue with the video. I've talked enough at this point. Well, for now anyway.
Taping it, and I'm fucking getting up in his face, asking why the fuck he's talking shit, and what the fuck's his problem, and he's fucking just you know, just fucking cowering and all fucking scared, and him and his friends are trying to fucking leave, and we're not letting them, and then...
You know me as LowTierGod.
That's how I know you as.
All right, now we're gonna get into LowTierGod versus VinceCamp.
Tell us a little bit about what the hell is going on here, man.
First off, I played this has-been online with his dad jeans. Played him online. He played my 2-week-old Rolento. The original score was 5-3. And then he wanted to keep playing. It was a set, an original set is 5, first to 5, right? That's what sets are, correct? He wanted to keep playing. I said, fuck it. You know what? I'm going to keep playing this dude's Blanca. Okay, the final score 20-6, but it was a troll session. Original score 5-3. So I went on Twitter, called this guy out, called him a has-been, called him a rape face, Charles Manson, anything you could think of. This dude looks like a fucking zombie out of The Walking Dead. Then he comes here dressed like he got his outfit out of fucking Target. So, as simple as that, I made a video. The first guy I could think of on why gamers were single was Viscon. This dude looks like he lives in his basement. He looks like he never gets sun. He could possibly be a fucking vampire. So after that, he goes on Twitter. He starts e-thugging. You don't know me. As simple as that. You could call me a bitch online all you want, but in real life, this isn't a fucking game. As simple as that.
Well, actually, I'm sorry I couldn't find this part, or I didn't have enough time to grab it. I probably should have said. Fitz Scott was calling him a bitch leading up to this moment, and that's when LowTierGod came from the crowd. Oh, and the guy who's actually holding the mic is Alex Valle, legend. DSP couldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole even if he wanted to. And the guy that's behind LowTierGod is a dude named K-Brad. He's a pretty good player himself, and he's pretty well known in the FGC.
Say it to my face right now.
All right.
I'm sorry.
I'm getting a little. You're getting too high.
And that's it. That's it. AJ is popping off. He is popping off right now.
Look, I got one more thing to say. So, there's going to come a point when you forget about what happened, and you're going to want to come back at me. And you're going to want to wash the taste of my dick out of your mouth.
Now the funeral is over, and all the tears are dried up. Niggas hanging tape on the cut, getting fired up.
Everybody, what is going on? There's been people that has been consistently...
oh boy. oh boy. I forgot all about that one. Anyway, yeah, that was special. That was special. Oh boy, I forgot all about that shit. Anyway, that match right there all came from shit talking. Whether LowTierGod thought dude was gonna come out or not, we're not really sure. He should have known better. I'm sure he did. At least he should have. In either case, he did come out, and you know, he got that ass beat, and then dude bounced. Now, this is one of the things that irks LowTierGod now, and this is why this video, in my own personal opinion, ladies and gentlemen, is not necessarily about DSP. It was more about VinceCamp, or VinceCon, however you want to pronounce it. It's more about that, and it's more about the fact that LowTierGod never really finished. He never let it go. So when an opportunity came up to benefit from this situation, and it didn't happen the way he wanted it to, he's still bitter about it. In my own, to be honest with you, it's salty, if you will. You know what I'm saying? If you go by FullBenderTV. Shouts out to FullBenderTV, by the way. If you're not checking out that guy's channel, I'll put the link to his channel in the description. He's the one who came up with the Salt Lord series. It's great. it's amazing. So I'll link that in the description also, along with these other videos. Check them out. Go over there and sub. It's a great channel. It really is. All right, let's go ahead and get on to this.
Asking me about this particular topic. And the only reason I'm even going to go over it is because people keep bugging me about it. Now, through over the course of years, since I very first started doing YouTube, and I very first started off And I very first started off with the rage videos, and I got lucky, blah blah blah. You guys know who I am now. Not that big of a deal. I first started hearing something called DSP, Black DSP, blah blah blah, this and that. I never knew who the guy was. I never followed him on any type of outlet, any type of social media outlet. Absolutely none of that. The more and more I would hear it, then I decided to do a little bit of homework. So after years and years of being called that particular name, which I absolutely don't think me and DSP have anything in common, personality-wise, looks-wise, anything. I complain in games that I actually can whoop ass in, contrary to what
you have some similarities. Obviously, you guys don't look alike, but obviously, but you guys do have some similar. You guys have some similar tendencies, to be honest. And as it pertains to LowTierGod, he may fall into the same situation as DSP, where he's kind of boxed in by his own reputation. Those rage videos and everything, especially if you go back and look at his early ones, they're great. They're the funniest shit. If you don't take any offense to it, they're fucking hilarious. But like anything else, certain, I don't want to call it stereotypes, but certain ways of doing things will kind of lock you in. And even as you evolve and move on from it, some of that stuff you just can't escape. Or it'll take a lot longer to, I should say. And it kind of falls into a DSP type tendency where, obviously DSP ain't changed for shit, but DSP, when he does make changes, he wants to be praised for them. And he's not. People immediately go back to how he was. And it's one of the things that holds DSP back. And in truth, it's himself. He lacks perseverance. He lacks drive. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, negativity or not, you keep pushing forward. You continue to push forward. That's how this works. Detractors do it every day. You think a fan of one detractor is a fan of another? No. So, do you let that little thing bother you? No. You continue to move on with your craft. You continue to build that craft. You continue to push forward with it. If that's something that, of course, you want to do. But at the same time, hopefully you're taking something from it. You're learning a skill out of doing all this. And there's plenty of things you can take out of doing detractor videos, for example. You know what I mean? Don't look at it as constantly DSP, constantly LowTierGod, constantly this, that, and the third. If you can, take something from it and build off of it, if you can, and expand. Which is why you see a lot more detractors that are branching off and doing, well, going after other people, to be honest with you. But then you get the criticism, well, why you guys, why don't you guys just abandon DSP? He does too much dumb shit. You got to understand, he's that vein, that gold vein that just keeps producing. He just doesn't stop. You know what I mean? And even most people will tell you that, damn, it's a deficit that, you're not on this shit quick enough. He does too much. To be honest with you, he does way too much. You know what I mean? It's hard to keep up with all that bullshit. And you got to keep in mind, in one day, there's like 4 or 5 different things you can attack. And that's why you guys should, you have to appreciate the fact that you have so many detractors who view Phil in so many different ways. Because it's hard for one person to give you the whole picture. You know what I mean? So watching multiple detractors gives you that full 360. You know what I mean? And even then you don't get the whole view. There's just too much with him. You know what I mean? Even with Boogie's shenanigans currently and what Wings is being Wings, essentially. Review Tech, I haven't really been keeping up with any of his shit. He's gotten to where Phil's at, where, YouTube's over with. But then again, he kind of has a history of parroting what Phil says. You know what I mean? It's just the steady balance of it all. So just some words to take from that. Let's continue.
Believe. DSP seems to rage in games no matter what the fuck it is. Me, I don't consider it rage, I consider it passion. If I didn't give a fuck, I wouldn't care or yell about whatever video games that I'm playing and losing in the first place. So I'm going to talk to you guys real quick about why, and I'm gonna let a secret out.
And that's fair, LTG. That's actually that's amazingly fair. But Phil's passionate too about that money, about that cash, about those greenbacks, about that cream, dollar bill, y'all. He's passionate about it too. He's just passionate about it in a different way. Just saying. I don't want to sit there and take away or discredit what you're saying about you're passionate about the game, and that's why you show this all this emotion and this rage and so on and so forth. I get that. Phil's passionate too. He's passionate about that cash. He depends on that to live. That's how he pays his bills, dude. Just saying. I don't mean to defend Phil. I just want to bring some clarity to it.
And I'm going to talk to you guys about why I decided to not play DSP when I was asked by him personally on Twitter from a challenge to play him in a Street Fighter game. Now, I was sitting on Twitter, minding my own business.
Now, before he does that, let's break down the timeline just a little bit, as best as I can. Okay, so this is basically how it works. Street Fighter 30th anniversary was just out, I should say. Phil is not catching the views that he wanted off of it. It's not the game that he wanted it to be, and he's in a bit of a pinch. You know, having 2 cars in the garage, having a girlfriend that may not actually be your girlfriend, and he has a lot going on, and he felt the pressure, and he needed a revitalization. He needed a resurge, if you will, of attention to his channel, because, and this is my own personal theory, but I think it's starting to come into fruition. Phil is trying to weaponize drama, and there's another video that will actually get into that further. But he's doing it because it's the only option that he has. It's the only thing to really bring attention to him. This is essentially his bread and butter. We've always said, and when I say we, I'm saying myself as well as others have always said, that he needs the detractors. He's now believing it himself, which goes to show how easy it is to break him down mentally. It didn't take long. Wow. It didn't take long for that to happen, but it did eventually happen. LowTierGod was a good way of establishing that. Now, on LowTierGod's end of it, LowTierGod was still doing all right. He was on YouTube, his channel was growing, and he was coming off of a 2-year ban. A 2-year ban that back in 2016, which was an insanely rough year for him, he had 2 major things that happened to him. One, he got banned off Twitch, which this is back when, Twitch was still kind of the Wild West and shit, and he had people gunning for him, and they eventually got him. And then we have another situation we're going to talk about. A dude by the name of Punisher ended up running into LowTierGod on Street Fighter V one night, had a couple matches, and then they were like, well, let's go ahead and just continue playing. So I guess they went into a private lobby, and from there, I remember watching it actually. I saw the systematic massacre of a man. I saw a man literally lose everything he had limb from limb. And when Punisher took his body, he took his mind. And after he took his mind, he took his soul. That's essentially what I saw. I saw that in 50 matches. It was by far, it might have been actually 51, but we'll say 50. It was by far one of the most scariest things I've ever seen. Absolutely scary. To the point where Punisher was actually doing commentary on what LowTierGod was going to do next. It was frightening. So much so, in fact, that Punisher had some friends there, and even they were saying, LowTierGod, just give it up, man. We appreciate you trying to continue with this, but just give it up, man. It's time to let it go. And yet again, I'll link that match in the description. You have to applaud LowTierGod's or LTG's perseverance. A better man would have probably, well, a lesser man, I should say. A lesser man would have probably have given up. No, a better man would have given up, to be honest with you. He would have realized, hey, you got me beat, buddy. I'm done. But he didn't, and he continued with it. He continued with what was he went through with it. I don't want to say that he was emasculated in that situation. I don't even have a word for what happened to him. You just have to see it. You just have to see it. And even then, it's not as bad as I'm making it seem, but it's a lot. I'll just say that. It's a lot. So 2016 wasn't a very good year for LowTierGod. So we jump back to 2018. He's coming back. He's, for the first time in 2 years, has a real shot at getting his channel back on Twitch, which he's been fighting hard for. And other people have been trying to help him to get that back. He finally gets it back. And DSP pops up out of nowhere, ironically enough, and offers him an opportunity that they both could have profited from. And LowTierGod is essentially with it. You know what I mean? And then there's a tweet, well, you can't find it now, but there was a tweet where LowTierGod asked Twitch support if he could stream on YouTube and Twitch at the same time. He's not partnered, so there's nothing essentially holding him back from that. Next day or the day after, because I remember it was next day or the day after he actually streams, and I remember because I was watching his stream and how hype he was and how happy he was to get back on. It really wasn't his fault. He did something. He established something pretty cool for subs, and they got him. Now, let's get into theory/conspiracy time. There is a frame of thought that some of DSP's fans, not DSP, but some of DSP's fans ended up going over there. Some people who want to put DSP on some mastermind status type shit because I've heard some interesting stuff. Said that DSP actually planned for this to happen with LowTierGod on Twitch, to put him on ice for about 30 days, which is about as long as LowTierGod was banned for or suspended for, and then have him come back, thinking that, oh, well, your only way to really get back on is now you have no choice but to challenge me. Now that's out there. Is it implausible? Not necessarily, but I'm not willing to give Phil that much credit. It's just, that's not what I want to do. For somebody else someone else with a bit more ingenuity probably would have done that if they have the type of control. There's some problems with that theory. One, Phil has to have way more clout at Twitch than even we give him credit for. And if so, he had to basically have set it up to where he knew LowTierGod was going to get a 30-day ban. At first, people thought it was going to be a permaban. So you got to understand that DSP would have had to maneuver behind the scenes to make something like that happen. And it's obvious that he didn't do that. I just don't. He has some influence there, or at least he's affiliated or cool with someone who does have a lot of influence at Twitch. But it's very obvious that Phil himself can't make those type of moves. He just can't. That's something that a boss does. You know what I'm saying? And that's someone who has organization skills and who has has some forethought. You have to be able to read some people to make stuff like that happen. Because if LowTierGod didn't give him the time of day and didn't answer any of his tweets, then that would have been a whole different situation in itself. So you see what I'm saying? So there's a lot of factors and variables that go into that type of situation. But you guys can tell me what you guys think down in the comment section below. In any case, LowTierGod hits his ban. Phil basically is like, oh, we're not really sure what's going on. He waits it out, and then this essentially ends up happening. Now, let's LowTierGod kind of continue to move forward a little bit, and then I'll jump in and explain, at least in my own opinion, on why it didn't go down.
And I get a DM, not a DM, but sorry about that. And I get a tweet from DSP. I know it's him. The check's blue. Like I said, I have no problems with this man. Respect his hustle and grind. He's a content creator, hustler, whatever you want to call it. I get a challenge from DSP saying he wants to play me in a game, in a Street Fighter game. I get excited. not excited, fanboyish, because, like I said, I'm not a fan of anyone, unless your name is Denzel Washington, Will Smith, Brad Pitt, Colin Farrell. I'm a fan of actors, right? Because that's a passionate thing to me. I'm a fan of those type of people. Step into different personalities and make you believe. So he asked me to play him in a Street Fighter game. Me, I'm thinking Third Strike. That's what I first started playing. That's my first serious Street Fighter, Third Strike. That's the game I finally figured out, like, okay, I actually know how to play Street Fighter on a different level. And when it bounced back that I was gonna play as T, I was like, wait a minute, I never gave two flying capital fucks about Super Street Fighter Turbo because I was a child and I was barely learning how to do Hadoukens and Dragon Punches. And I sat down and I pondered and I thought about it for a while. I was gonna challenge him just for wow factors and for fun and for a little bit of extra clout. And I thought about this shit and I was like, wait a minute. I can't do this again. Nah, I'm not gonna fucking do this again. Last time I agreed to play somebody, they got extreme clout, right? The White Knight, the savior of the globe, of the FGC, annihilated the big black quote-unquote bully. This isn't a racial issue. I'm just telling you guys how it is. You guys already know what I'm talking about, that 2014 Viscount bullshit.
All right,
yeah,
so the race situation there, even though he said White Knight, but you can take that for however you want to do with that one, against the big black man, if you will. If one of the big things about the Viscount and LowTierGod situation was the size difference. To be honest with you, you see LowTierGod essentially just towering over Viscount, and Viscount isn't shaking, he isn't moving, he isn't backing up. He showed no fear, which is what you would expect if you know who he is. But you see LowTierGod towering over him, and if some of the videos that you find on YouTube, if you look this up, it's bully versus gamer, or you basically find that that's actually how this whole thing really got big from a media standpoint, because that's kind of what it looked like. You know what I'm saying? Like if you weren't in the FGC at the time, you didn't actually see it, but to the outside viewer, that's what it looks like. That's exactly what it looks like. And was it racial? You know what I'm saying? No, I would say it wasn't. And it didn't need to be. You had a shit talker, you know what I'm saying, talk to another shit talker, and this is what the culmination of it was. The problem is that most people go off the visual instead of reading the actual backstory of it. And it is what it was. Now, keep in mind, and I mean no disrespect to LowTierGod when I say this, I don't think he was going to beat Viscount anyway. A lot of people didn't. It was just the entertainment value that came in it. And theoretically, LowTierGod would have had the advantage because Viscount wasn't really playing that much. I mean, yeah, he was online, obviously. That's how they met up in the first place. But he was doing real man shit at the time. So a lot of people thought that that LowTierGod might have a shot, but it's just that, it's a shot. He's not going to win. You know what I mean? So that's really what it came down to. But I think that's something that still hurts LowTierGod. I think it's something that he's never been able to let go of. And to have DSP issue the challenge to him, he looked at it as, oh, you're not going to eat off my back. You're not going to do that again. You know what I'm saying? Especially in the irony of it all, I don't know if LowTierGod knows this, I'm sure he does, is the fact that DSP and Viscount have history. They have history. I'm not sure if he knows how deep it is, but they have history. So to have two people who used to be adversaries at one time eat off of his back, he's going to feel a certain type of way about it. And hence the reason why he responded the way he did. But then, yet again, as we saw in an earlier report, when you see how he treats other black people, and certainly if you've seen his rage compilations and some of the shit he said, I think if he thought it was racism, I'm not saying that he did, but if he thought it was racism, it was misplaced. It was. You know what I'm saying? And for DSP, this might be one of the few times where it wasn't really that. Like, oh, Negro, I'm about to eat off your back. That's what we gonna do today, boy? I doubt I don't think that's what DSP thought, but it's DSP. He's a fucking sociopath. Who knows what he thought? We already know what he thinks about people who don't look like him. And there's certainly not a lot of people look like him. But we all know what he thinks of other people. We've seen his history. I don't have to go into that. So who could say what actually triggered Phil into doing this and thinking that he had a chance? But then at the same time, he wanted to control the situation. Now, Phil says that, oh, we can play some ST and we can play some Third Strike. Now, let me try to break that down. As LowTierGod said, he don't give a flying fuck about ST. Fuck all that. That don't mean shit. He cares about Third Strike. Now, I don't know if either one of these guys forgot. I didn't, because I pre-ordered the game. I think it's Ultra Street Fighter 4 comes with the game if you pre-ordered it. So they both should have access to it. So if they didn't want to play Street Fighter 4 or Third Strike, they could have played 4. And they both have an extensive history in that. LowTierGod is arguably better. They could have done that. But Phil don't want to play 4. What Phil wanted was to play ST, get a clean sweep, and then just get enough victories over LowTierGod. He doesn't have to beat LowTierGod in victories. Not at all. He just needs to get enough to make it look like, oh, I dominated you in my game, and I damn near gave you a run for your money in your game. That's all I wanted. That's all Phil wanted. That's why Phil wouldn't play 5, because LowTierGod stays playing 5, and he doesn't want to play Ultra because he ain't already lost to Phil. He's already lost to LowTierGod in 4. It just wasn't gonna work out. You know what I'm saying? He needed Third Strike, and he needed LowTierGod to accept and whatnot. And I guarantee you, if Third didn't go right, he would have blamed connection issues, this, that, and the third, yada, 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 and they're relatively close. That's what I think the scenario was. I don't know for sure, but if I had to guess, that's what it was. That's why he wanted Super Turbo, and that's why he would have been willing to agree to Third, or that's why we find out later, he was willing to agree to Third Strike. But that's why he wouldn't go to 4. If you don't want to play 5, that's fine, but you could have gone to 4. But see, he knows he probably had been outclassed in that. So he needed those 2 games because Phil does like Third. Is he great at it? No. But, you know, he's competent. And he thought he could edge out just enough victories to make it look like it would be a debatable. So it's almost like a rap battle in a lot of ways. Kinda, sorta. Phil's not lyrical though. I would say LowTierGod's more lyrical. Phil's more of a writer. And then if you get into that, you get into the debate on what's stronger in rap and hip hop, the writers or your lyrical MCs. But that's a whole nother situation for a whole nother day. In any case, I think that's what Phil's situation was. Like I said, as it being racial, I don't think it was like that. But I could see how LowTierGod might want to would see that in his own mind, and he just didn't want to risk it. You know, especially coming off of the show that he just did, and him being the first one to lose. But they didn't send him home because obviously keeping him around and keeping the hype up is important for the show. He has too much to lose. But let's continue with his story.
From 2014, so all you people that keep mentioning it, damn, it's stuck in the past. Learn how to step into the future. So I thought about that first. I was like, wait a minute, if I play this man and I happen to lose in a game I don't ever touch, don't give 2 flying capital fucks about, it'll be something else I will never be able to stop hearing. So I thought about that whole shit. A lot of people don't understand what me calling out Viscon over an online game. I was a different guy, had a different mentality back then. A lot of people don't understand how much Clout he gained off of that. He went from 4,000 followers to 14K, still stuck at 14K because, I mean, He robbed you guys of being a savior and said fuck it and disappeared after that. He didn't really compete in any tournament.
Wait. You said that he white knighted, and then he got clout that he didn't even want. Went from 4,000 to 14,000, and then he robbed them of their savior. So how did you put him at? How did he become? He was white knight status, and then you elevated him up to savior. Like you were the Mongol horde. You know what I'm saying, at the FGC's gate. It wasn't like that. You were the bad guy. And everybody wants to hate the bad guy. But it wasn't. But the thing is Vince didn't even give a shit about the fucking clout. He came out to shut you up. That was it. He didn't give a shit about all the extras, which you end up finding out later.
After that, he didn't really do anything after that. And he blew a good opportunity a couple of times. I'm gonna tell you guys a secret. I was gonna save it for like a 20K special, but I don't think 20,000 subscribers on YouTube is enough to do any kind of special. So I'm never gonna drop that special. Period. If I drop a special, it's gonna be at 50K when I can be verified, and it really means something. 20,000 subs on YouTube isn't shit. Thank you, but it's not shit.
Now here's the thing. This goes back to that clout chasing, and it might in a lot of ways coincide with DSP in a lot of ways. 50,000 to when he is recognized by YouTube. Whereas is not having 20,000 people that, whether they like you or not, but at least acknowledge you, is that not enough? Is that not, I mean, you know it has to be enough because you did a 10,000 video, I believe. So how is that 20,000 ain't enough? And to be honest with you, I don't know if it was worth holding to 50,000. That might have been something you wanted to put in a vault and wait until you have, for example, 10,000 subs on Twitch. Sorry, that might have been what that could have been for, if you want to go there. But to say that you have 20,000 people and that's not enough for me to let this go that's a bit disheartening. You know what I'm saying? Is it towards the level, or do you find that to be equal to DSP saying, I gave you guys 10 years, you guys need to pay me? That's the question. And obviously it's not. It's obviously not. But at the same time, that's a bit disheartening. But this is what YouTube, what a fraction of YouTube is starting to turn into. Like this is what clout is, essentially. And this is what these dudes are chasing. And at the end of the day, you gotta understand, people give LowTierGod money. Just like Phil. Not on the level of Phil, but just like Phil. And this is one of the reasons why and this is what some of the best, not only in the FGC, but on YouTube will tell you, this is the reason why Maximilian stayed winning. These two men right here are one reason. Not obviously, Maximilian has a bunch of shit. Talent, charisma, he's genuinely a nice guy. He does a lot, even though some people question where all the money goes. Whatever. But Maximilian is leaps and bounds over both of these guys. And probably always will be. And yet, at the same time, look at what you two are doing. You know what I'm saying? You guys are just continuing to let Maximilian essentially keep elevating. You guys aren't even providing him competition. He stayed winning off you guys. He stays winning. And why haven't neither one of y'all figured it out yet? It is what it is. Let's continue.
Fast forward to everything that I would say I delivered. I would say I resurrected Viscant. I don't care what you guys say. I resurrected that man. No one was fucking with him or anything. I resurrected that man's FGC name, career, everything, regardless if he won Evo, whatever. The man had barely 4,000 Twitter followers. Now he's at 14K, like I said, it's been at 14K for years. What was turned down.
Okay, but didn't you not just say a little while ago about living in the past? You guys need to let that shit go. But yet you've been watching his Twitter account all these years. You've kept an eye on him. And let me explain why. Not to you, LTG, because you know why. Because you're invested in him. You feel you gave a portion of yourself to him. And that's why you feel like he was elevated. And that's why you feel that you're owed. Just my personal opinion, but that's what I'm guessing. Because if not, then why spend so much time watching him over these years and watching his Twitter account? Fuck Twitter. But why spend so much time watching that shit? For what? Are you reaching out to him? Are you talking to him? Are you guys aren't enemies. So are you trying to, you know what I'm saying? You're trying to establish, at least, it doesn't have to be a friendship, at least be cordial. Are you at least trying to do that? What's the deal? If not, why are you spending so much time on that? Just saying.
Which was a major deal that we were offered twice. Me and Viscon were offered twice to be on Comedy Central's Tosh.0. Twice. I don't give a fuck what type of beef you thought that we had. There was no beef. We're two like super grown ass men now. We could have collectively came together because I gave you your clout that you have right now. Whatever clout, whatever retweets you get, whatever gives a fuck, whatever people that give a fuck about you, I gave you that. Because if I would have never called you out, you would have been done in the oblivion. And I'm telling you guys this because I'm telling you why I did not play DSP. I'm just kind of sprinkling this shit in. But Scott turned down 2 different opportunities. We were asked 2 different times from Comedy fucking Central, twice, to do a paid job.
But here's the thing though. What you're talking about now is bigger than DSP. And this is why, at least for me anyway, this is what I took from the video. This video wasn't about DSP. You just wanted to be like, fuck DSP, I don't have time for that shit, he ain't gonna eat off me, I've given enough to the FGC as it pertains to Clout, fuck him. This is what my real problem is what Vince Scant didn't do for me. I did this for him, I gave him this. And I can even understand, LowTierGod, if we had a conversation, you would probably be like, it doesn't matter whether he wanted it or not. This is what he was given. He owed me with doing Tosh.0. And that might have been dope. I would have actually watched that. I definitely would have taped it. Or, well, DVR'd it. I would have definitely have done that shit. That shit would have been gangster. That would have been gangster as shit. Because that shit would have been straight the fuck up funny. Both of you guys are going to definitely take a hit. You guys are definitely going to get humiliated in that bitch. Because that's just how Tosh works. Excuse me. But it would have definitely been entertaining. And it definitely would have been interesting. But yet again, you're resurrecting your past because, one, you're hoping to springboard something else off it. You were on TV once, and you like what you had. You can't give the spotlight up, so you have to continue to move forward with it. Now, granted, this Tosh.0 situation came before that, before the show, the esports shit. So I get it. And a paid gig, you guys probably would have walked away with a couple G's each. That's good money. You know what I'm saying? And then in any of the other back-end deals as it pertains to your images and things of that sort, there could be some real money that could come off that, especially if the ratings are there. And that would certainly help resurrect a group of people who remember it and certainly put eyes on a group that didn't. YouTube vids would have been huge. You got to understand, ladies and gentlemen, the way LowTierGod's about to explain this to you and the trickling down process is in a way that DSP never could. And that's one of the advantages that LowTierGod has over Phil, and that's why, for the most part, people understand where LowTierGod's coming from. Because he's trying to look downrange. And he's trying to look at the opportunities and the points and streams of revenue that can be made from this. I get it. I certainly get it. And a lot of people do. You know what I mean? It's just, this video isn't about DSP. DSP was just the springboard to allow you to go on what you're about to do now. And I understand that. I do. It would have been a bit more fair if you had just came out and said that, but DSP provided the opportunity. And if that's one thing that LowTierGod is good at doing, is taking advantage of opportunities. Phil, in some ways too, but at other people's expense.
Not even, just do like a funny reenactment of the 2014 segment. They hit me up and they said, yo, we couldn't find anything in the FGC that really meant anything and it was that monumental that we want to bring on the show and we want to tap into that market a little bit. And we found out about you guys, and what better way to have it than one of the most hype moments. They didn't ask Justin Wong and Daigo about moment 37 or what the hell it was. They asked for me and Viscant for, I guess that would have been a representation on Comedy Central's Tosh.0 from the FGC.
Yeah, but you gotta understand, Moment 37 though is more of an FGC based type thing. It's a point in time where something was done in a particular situation that has been replicated up till now. It's something that stands the test of time. What happened with you guys was more of a social type thing and whatnot. When it blew up, I should say. When all the attention that was drawn to it. That's what it was, and that's what Tosh.0 wants to benefit from. And I get that. But what that is that's one of the holy grails of the FGC. Now, granted, this might go back to what was said in an early segment or video package that was done on you about you really don't give a shit about the FGC. It's just a springboard for you to do something else. And that's fine if that's really what you want to go about that. But that shit right there is considered the holy grail. It's here, let me give a better explanation, because I'm sure if DSP is watching up to this point, it's essentially the Undertaker's undefeated streak at WrestleMania, if it was never broken, which it should have never been. It's that one moment in time that, though it can be replicated, though it can be duplicated, it will never be that moment. It'll never be that circumstance. It'll never be that. It'll never be the original. It'll never be that moment. The most purest moment where two people at the top, at the highest level of their talent, one thought he had the advantage over the other, made a move that a player, even the highest ranked player, one of the highest ranked players at that time, said that he would have ended up just eating the hit. And yet Daigo didn't. He kept fighting to the very, 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 very end. Anyway, sorry. I apologize. But that's what that was. And I understand that you don't necessarily care about that. Maybe you just don't understand what that meant. Fair enough. But you can't discount that. It means more. You can't put a dollar amount on that. That's something that most people would call sentimental. You can't replace that. DSP News. I haven't actually said that in a while.
Down that opportunity twice. I tracked him down the first time. He said he did, I kind of want to let that behind me, blah, 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 this and that. Who gives a shit? It's money, it's exposure, and I'm thinking, damn, this could be great for my resume. You guys know what I want to do. Tosh.0 on my resume when I'm submitting roles for auditions and everything would have been monumental. The producers of the show tracked him down. He denied. He gave a sorry-ass excuse. It was a package deal. They wanted me and Viscano as a package deal, right? Since we were both involved in making that monumental FGC moment. And just monumental moment, period. That shit went viral. Long story short, fast forward, they asked me again the beginning of 2018. Yo, we really want to get you guys on the show. Is there any way you can contact Viscano? Hit him up on Twitter. Hit him up on Facebook DM. He ignored. He turned down 2 paid opportunities from a major fucking network. I have zero respect for somebody who does not strive for the ultimate greatness. Not saying that fame and money is the ultimate greatness, but you know what? Fuck it, it is.
Whew,
that would have been.
That's a DSP moment, contradicting yourself in the same sentence. Now, here's the thing. I understand the whole thing about ultimate greatness and taking advantage of opportunities when they come your way. The thing is that's not what he wanted. That's not what he wanted. And this is where the fact that in your belief he owes you. And that's why he should have taken the hit for you, because he would have gotten the financial aspect of it. But he might not want the exposure. It comes back to that age-old question where people are like, would you rather be rich or would you rather be wealthy? Most people actually say, would you rather be rich or would you rather be famous? Fuck both of those. So let's say, would you rather be rich or would you rather be wealthy? Now, the concept of that, and I've spoken about this before, is being rich, you can, it only takes 1 or 2 mistakes to fuck all that up. And you're done. Period. It's gone. Wealth is something that's generational. You can't fuck up wealth. You know what I'm saying? And even if you have fuck ups in your family, it'll take them generations to do it. And one can hope that someone would be smart enough to be able to continue to build off of it. You can't fuck up wealth. And one of the things that makes wealth even more interesting is you don't have the exposure than being rich. LeBron James is rich. The motherfucker who pays him, or motherfuckers I should say, who pay him are fucking wealthy. Wealthy as shit. And most of you guys don't even know who they are. They're people from behind the scenes who make so much money off of him, it's insane. Let me give you an example. Michael Jordan, and I think it was in 2017 or was it 2016, he walked from the Jordan brand, as you know, part of Nike. It's its own fucking division, and for good damn reason. He single-handedly saved Nike, him and Oprah. But that's a story for another day. He ended up, he made $2 billion that year. That's what he walked away with. You know, that's his cut of the profits. That's his cut of the profits, right? If I remember correctly, it wasn't $2 billion. I'm sorry. I think he walked away with, yeah, he had to walk away with. I'm gonna have to look that up now. It was either $2 million or $2 billion. Let's say $2 million. Let's say that. I'm pretty sure it was more than that though. I'm actually confident it was $2 billion is what he walked away with. But just bear with me on it. He walked away with $2 billion in that year. Do you know what the brand Jordan made that year? It made close to $500 billion. And Jordan walked away with $2. It was something insane like that. I remember reading it somewhere. Yet again, there's a difference between being rich and being wealthy. The amount of money Jordan generates even now is insane. It's worth more than him and his children, who are extremely talented in their own rights, will ever make or ever see in their lifetime. You can't fuck up that type of money. You can fuck up Jordan money. You know what I'm saying? You can fuck up Kobe money. You can fuck up Shaq money, LeBron money, Steph Curry money. Jesus Christ, Steph Curry getting paid for silly shit, NBA Jam shit. Anyway, no hate there. You can't mess up that money. You can screw up. The money that's above them, you can't. You can't. It doesn't happen. It's not possible. But yet again, and so sorry, I kind of went off on a rant there. But for Vince Canton, he probably just didn't want the exposure. And for some people, any amount of money isn't worth that. He might not be. He's obviously not hurting for money if he's willing to turn it down. But that might be a part of his life that he doesn't want to dredge back up. Same thing with his shit with DSP. He probably just doesn't want to dredge that shit back up. It's something that he did it. He let it go. LowTierGod said it himself. That was back in 2014. I'm a different person. My head's in a different place, so on and so forth. Fair enough. Good, great, actually. But then for Vince Canton, it's the same thing. He's a different person. You know what I'm saying? He's moved on with his life past that point. And that's just not something he wants to go back to. And you should at least respect that. You guys had a moment. It was what it was, and that's the end of it. Even if one can profit from it, he doesn't feel it's worth it. So he's not going to do it. Just my opinion.
Great for me. It would have been big for me. It would have been big for him. He could have went down in history, right? Anyways, we're off that. I told you guys that secret. That's one of the reasons, that is one of the main reasons I did not play DSP. And I'm not going to play DSP in a game I don't fuck with. If you want to play me, you'll play me in 5. I even say fuck it and crack back open 4 or 3rd strike. I would not play DSP and ST. I will not agree to play a game that I'm handicapped in, a game I don't have any types of passion at, and at a game I don't give 2 flying fucks about, to increase someone else's clout. I refuse to do that shit again. That's why I didn't play DSP. It's not because I was scared or anything like that. I'm thinking from a business aspect. I'm a business major, a business and management graduate. The way I think is time and revenue. That's the way my brain is wired. I don't think, let me do all this shit for free, for fun. Everything that I do I have to figure out how to twist it into revenue, because to me that's the way life works. That's the way the universe works right now. The most powerful people have money. It's not just popularity. You gotta have both. Popularity's not enough. That isn't shit. You can't cash out popularity. I mean, unless you're making money off of it. You get what I'm saying? So the reason I didn't play DSP is because it would have been a bad business move.
Okay, now, look, as he said about money and all that, I get the business aspect of it. Time is money, he doesn't want to waste it, so on and so forth. Here's the thing that LowTierGod needs to understand, and a lot of us need to understand, really, is that even with that, with the financial aspect of it, there's still the concept of old money and new money. And old money doesn't respect new money. You want to know why? Because new money can disappear. Quick. Almost as quick. It can show up and leave just like that. As quickly as it was made, it can be gone. And old money doesn't respect that. It doesn't at all. And you live in California where old money's been for a long ass time. So you kind of know how that. So I mean, he may not know how that works, but you know what I'm saying. He's not stupid. So that's how that situation kind of plays out. So it doesn't really matter how much money you have, brother. It's not. No one's gonna care. You know what I'm saying? You got money. They got money. Everybody got money. Now it's not a matter of you being rich. It's how rich are you. And then that's a fight you're gonna lose, because there are richer people than you. There always will be. You know what I'm saying? No matter what. That's an uphill battle that, not to disrespect anybody, but greater men and women have tried and failed at. You got to be content with what you have. I respect the fact that your time is valuable. As I tell all of you who are listening to this currently, your time is valuable. It's one of the most valuable things that you have. Use it wisely. I get that. But you can't condemn a man for, yet again, you taking the priority of his own time. His time is his priority, and he didn't want to use it. Or he didn't want to use it the way you wanted him to. Maybe financially it wasn't worth it for him. You know what I'm saying? I don't even think LowTierGod even cared about the money. He cared about the exposure, because in the long term, that'll bring in more money. Then Vince Scott may have not given a shit about the money altogether. It may have just not have been worth his time. So yet again, you might be overlooking his business acumen and how he views it. This isn't some hug box type shit. Your time is valuable. Well, I'm sure this guy thinks his time is valuable too. But how long will you hold on to this? You gotta let that go, man. You can still work out something with somebody else or with another show, and they just get a stand-in if you want to go that route. But you shouldn't be trying to profit off your past if you don't have to. You know what I'm saying? Build new shit. You know what I mean? Don't go back to a city and try to use the foundation for that to build your new city, especially if you don't have to. You got intelligence, you got drive, and you got talent, which is something more than DSP has. So go off and do something with it. Don't be a slave to your own past like DSP is, which is the reason why people still compare you guys. And in the next video, see what I mean. You better than that. You already believe that, so move with it. You owe it to yourself. You don't give a shit about the fans, then you owe it to yourself to do that. DSP knows.
On top of that, people were telling me not to play him anyway. I refuse to give out free clout to anyone ever again. Anything that I do of that stature, cash has to be involved. Life is too short. I have goals and accolades that I need to go ahead and smooth on into my life. And it's not all about video games for free all the time. Life is about time and revenue. If you don't understand that, you don't understand the way the world works, and you don't understand your life. That's why I never played DSP, and that's why I won't.
Play the game! That is an epic fucking intro, dude.
And I have to warn everyone, warning, what you may see right now is going to be absolutely disgusting.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a long road, and we're not actually done yet. But if you guys are still here up to this point, thank you. It's going to be a long one. Okay, we're here with Snort, Burnell, DsPgaming. Excuse me. This is Phil's response to LowTierGod turning him down. To be perfectly honest with you, you can hear the disappointment because obviously it is what it is. And Phil needs to just take that shit at face value and move with it. Which at the end of the day, he's not going to have a choice. So it is what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get into it. Ah, yes. The main dish on the last course, if you will. Dessert.
Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
But cheer subs and tips have been at an all-time high, okay? If we can keep it at this level and keep going like this for, the rest of the month, hell, the rest of the year, it's looking like streaming will be my main source of income and will be able to overtake my other sources. Remember, I keep telling you guys I'm so worried about YouTube ad revenue fluctuating and shit like that. If we can keep on the pace we're going on Twitch here, I won't have to worry about any of that. And we're actually on pace to do really well if I can keep it the way it is. And that's what I'm nervous, is that I want to keep you guys engaged and active and excited so that you'll want to contribute. And it's been great. I have no complaints about the past couple of weeks. It's been really outstanding here on Twitch. I just want to try to keep it at that level and maintain if I can. Because if I can, we'll be good to go. And you won't have to hear me mentioning money and shit like that anymore,
I'm good at lying.
I'm going to put something to bed here, alright? There's been lots of talk over the past month and a half about myself and LowTierGod supposedly having a match in Street Fighter. And I just want to put the whole issue to bed here and kind of put a close to it so people will stop speculating and talking about it. But here's what really happened, okay? Back in late May, when the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection was released, I tweeted LowTierGod and said, I respectfully challenge you to... Do you want to play the fucking game? Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo and Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. I think that I would win Super Turbo, but he would win Third Strike, and I just think it would be a fun thing for the fans. No drama, just fun matches and gameplay. And I said this publicly on Twitter, okay? And he responded to me, LTG responded to me and said, well, I will get back to you, I'll DM you. He never did. And so I just thought it was a dead issue. I really didn't care. For me, it was just a fun, casual thing. I thought, gee, challenge the guy if we have a few fun matches and go back and forth or whatever. It would be pretty fun for both of our viewerships. As I know, there is crossover in our viewerships, being that we both, we're both fighting game fans. And, I thought maybe it would be a fun event. And if it happened, great. And if not, no big deal, So for me, I never heard from him. Never heard back from him. And I'm like, well, I guess it's just a dead issue. Well, out of nowhere, and I don't know why, LTG made a video about this over the weekend, I guess. I think it was either late last week or over the weekend. Basically explaining the situation. So I guess really from his perspective, there's a lot of factors to consider when accepting a challenge like this, which obviously I don't know about. I don't know much about the guy. I guess what happened was years ago, LTG accepted a challenge from Visant, a person who I have lots of history with. And in my opinion, Jay Snyder is actually a pretty good guy. He's a pretty cool guy over the years.
Yeah, he's a pretty good guy because he didn't hand you your ass when he was supposed to. And he saved your ass from what would have been one of the monumental beatings that you were going to take. So yeah, he certainly is an alright guy. He really is. Now, for you to sit there and say, Phil, that you didn't know about their history, it has to be a lie. It has to be a lie. You're not dumb. You know what I'm saying? You're a lot of things, but you're not dumb. You knew about that, because a lot of people were buzzing about that back in those days. Especially people who were still entrenched in the FGC, or the FGC, I'm sorry. And I know that you still were keeping up with some of the tabs that were going on at that time. So of course you knew about that. Now, to be honest with you, I can't necessarily shit on you for taking the shot that you try to take. I really can't. It was an opportunity. You caught him at what would be considered a rather vulnerable time for LTG, and it could have been beneficial for the two of you. It could have been. It could have been. So I can't shit on you too hard for you trying to take advantage of that. I just can't. It's not reasonable. At the same time, for you to go ahead and be nonchalant about it and be like, oh, it wasn't that big of a deal. It's whatever. He has his own shit or whatnot, and that's why this didn't happen. Whatever. I mean, that's a bit dishonest, but that's what you do, though. One hoof over the eyes and another hoof in the mouth, right? Just saying.
Them played against him. You know, I don't really have a problem with him. So, yes, there was a big, like 4 or 5 years ago, there was a big high-profile match between LTG and Visant, and I guess Visant won the match, and I guess LTG says his reputation took a big hit when he lost the match, and so he learned from that experience, and so if he's going to accept any kind of a match or a challenge, that there has to be some kind of a benefit to him, so it's not like him just totally wasting his time. And I guess what he's saying, basically, is if we're going to do this match, if we're going to play Street Fighter and hype it up on the internet and all of that, that he wants to be sure he makes money or something, okay? Now, for me, you guys know me, I could care less. I was just a casual challenge to this guy.
Oh, stop. Okay, first things first. Really? Y'all know me? Shit. It ain't about no money or nothing? Oh, it's no big deal. He wants to have some financial backing, but you know, I don't get down like that. Shit. I almost want to break out into I forgot about Dre line with that shit. Y'all know me, still same OG, but I've been low-key, hated on by most of these. Anyway. How dare you say that shit? You were going into that same shit the same way he was. You guys were hoping to get, both of you guys wanted to turn this into an opportunity, get some clout. You were definitely hoping the piggies were going to come out with their piggy banks. You know what I'm saying? Clean, and give the money up to you. You can do it, Phil. You can do it, Phil. Take my 400 bits here. So you were in it for the same reason. So for you to downplay that and try to make LowTierGod look silly, I wouldn't say look silly, look bad, over the same nonsense that you were hoping to benefit from is bullshit. But it's just another day in the life of Phil.
Am I in this for money? I mean, yeah, it's my job. I need that money to pay my bills. I need that money. I really do. I need that money to pay my bills. Holy fucking shit. Relax. Some people just can't control themselves. But no, I'm not looking to make bank off of a special challenge to LTG. I know you're lying. I'm not going to say, oh, I challenge LTG for $1,000 money match in Third Strike, oh, you know, and blah, blah,
Okay,
blah.
let me stop while you guys get a chance to see the greatness, which is Snort Burnell drop that wisdom. He's looking at it wrong, and he's doing this on purpose, okay? As purposely as that beautiful dress that she's wearing. Ooh, these women in GTG are starting to get up there. Anyway, here's the thing. He's trying to spin the story into, oh, I wasn't trying to put no real money up on this. It was, I didn't want it for that. That's not what LowTierGod wanted either. He's not even talking about that. He's not talking about, oh, you have the pig roaches throw up, you know, $1,000, and then I'm gonna have the boys over here. I'm gonna have that get that ass band gang. Go ahead and put up 1,000, and you know, winner takes all. He wasn't even playing it like that. The thing, what he was saying was it has to be financially beneficial. Phil knows this, but Phil has to spin it in such a way to make LowTierGod look like an asshole. It's like, oh, well, shit, he's trying to get over on me. How do I do this? Okay, I'm broke. Yeah, I'm broke. I'm broke as shit, and I don't have any money up front to be betting. I can't gamble. I can't do it. So, yeah, guys, this is what happened. So, LowTierGod wanted to be paid up front. Yeah. He wanted me to send money to his PayPal before we even started the match, just to lock him in and whatnot. That's what was going to happen, guys. And you guys know me. I'm just used to begging you guys for money because I really need the money to pay my bills. And that's what the problem was. Okay, so that's the reason why I didn't go down. LowTierGod needed that cash right up front. I didn't have it, guys. I didn't have it. You guys know me. I have this house here in Seattle. I have the condo in Connecticut. I got 2 cars in the garage, allegedly. I mean, what did you want me to do? What did you guys want me to do? I wanted to have a fun event for you guys. And LowTierGod ruined it. That's essentially what he said.
I don't care. Number one, I don't have the money. And number two, I don't care about that shit. You guys know that. You guys know me. You know, I'll play these games online, but I don't take that shit seriously at all. Everyone knows.
Then when I say you play games, these fighting games online, it doesn't mean diddly dick. You know, none of these games have great connections or anything online or anything. And I just don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I casually challenged LTG because I thought it would be something fun for the fans of both of our viewerships. But I certainly didn't take it to the point where, oh, it's so serious, it matters if he wins or if I win, and we gotta make money doing it, so we have to lay down bets and challenges. I don't care about that shit at all. It's been a long time. I couldn't even tell you guys the last time I did a money match. Probably the mid-2000s. You know, so yeah. 10, 15 years ago, maybe I was like that. I'm not like that anymore. Okay? So I just kind of shrug. And I'm like, oh well. So here's the thing. I understand where he's coming from. If he previously had a challenge match that he lost, and then next thing you know, everyone's shitting on him and treating him like garbage and basically talking junk, I can understand why he feels like, well, if I'm gonna play, you know, just in case I lose, at least I get something out of it. Or maybe the flip side of that is if he wins, there's big stakes, right? Like he wins something huge, so maybe it would motivate him to care about it and practice a ton so he would win and win money and stuff. I get that. Listen, I get that. I do. All right? So I'm not saying anything negative about LTG at all. Again, I don't really know the guy that well.
We're soulmates.
I didn't even know about this match previously. I guess that he had with Visant, and I don't know the history of any of this shit because I don't follow it. You guys know me. I'm busy with my own shit. I don't follow the
You're
fighting.
A liar. You can damn near recite my videos by proxy. Okay? I should go ahead and put copyrights out on this shit because I hear you speaking in my particular language, sir. Sir. I don't appreciate it. I don't talk pig. So with that being said, you're not allowed to talk like that. That's mine. Boy. Want me to cut some bacon off your back. Anyway. It didn't happen. Now, financially, it could have been amazing. Here's the thing. Let me just lay out how this could have worked. How it could have worked. First off, no money up front. Fuck all that. That's stupid. You guys both have fan bases. You guys could have milked them for everything that was worth. All you guys don't need to do what like the rap game and hip hop mainly, especially with that whole Drake Pusha T situation because that shit was staged. If you guys didn't know, you guys don't have to do false beef. You guys just have to build up the anticipation for it. You have to give people a reason to tune in. If you can invest people in the circumstances, in the situation of it, this could have been good. But how do you do that? GTG, how do you do that? Golden, how do you do that? You can call me Golden if not, you don't want to call me GTG. How do you do that? Or just a cute dog in a sharp suit. That works too. Anyway, point is, how do you do that? One, you got to drudge up your past a little bit, which means you got to pull up that match that you had with him in Street Fighter 4 all back then and play it on stream. Be like, guys, I'm going to face LowTierGod. We're not sure what the game is going to be yet, but, you know what I'm saying, we should both pick a game that we both like and we both think we're good in, and then pick something that's neutral. So, Phil takes Super Turbo, LowTierGod, shit, LowTierGod can take Street Fighter 5, Street Fighter 4, Third Strike. Let's say he takes Third Strike, though. Takes Third Strike, and then you guys come together for that third game, being Ultra Street Fighter 4. And you guys play it out there. You guys build that shit up over the weekend, and you do it leading into during the week. I'm sorry, and lead it up till Friday. Okay, you have the match Friday, and everybody comes out for that shit. At least within your own fan bases. Obviously, detractors and other people will come out for it. Maybe one of the game news article sites will catch wind of it, and they'll put it out there, splash that shit all over fucking Twitter. The FGC might, some of them anyway, might come out and listen to it, or watch it, I should say, on Twitch, and you make it into an event. You turn it into, this right here is the homecoming of LTG. And his first opponent, the first one to get that ass banned, is DSP, Darksydephil. You turn, for LowTierGod, you turn DSP into the enemy. You make him into what he already is, the bad guy. You know what I'm saying? And you're making your triumphant return, and he's going to be the first one to catch his ban, to get that ass handed to him. That's all you had to do. And for LowTierGod, he could have delivered on that. Okay, for DSP, I have to believe, fucked up a lot of this. Because he wanted to dictate terms. He wanted to call how everything gets played out. I guarantee you that's pretty much how this all happened. LowTierGod's being generous about it because neither one of them want any extra nonsense on him. But if I had to guess, that's what the situation is. And because of that, that's why you're hearing some of the sneak dissing that you're hearing now. With that being said, what could have happened on DSP's part was, all right, guys, I've been out of the FGC for a long time, super long time, and we just went over the video that we had with LowTierGod and my loss and whatnot. But let's go ahead and talk about something else that might have happened to LowTierGod. And you bring up the Vince Scott video, and that's a long video. But you do a video for that. You do a stream for that, which is like that match wasn't that long. It's probably like 40 minutes or something. Might have been less than that. And you play that. And while you're doing that, DSP, you break down what you're seeing because you're a former pro fighting game player, of course. So you break down the mistakes and the advantages that both fighters had, and be like, at the end of it, and all the cheers, because you're answering questions. You know what I'm saying? You're looking at the stream chat while you're looking at this. You're answering questions. You're laying back. You're chilling. You got your sit there and you got your gin and tonic and whatnot. You got your bottled water. You know what I'm saying? Cat's down there cooking din-din, probably putting arsenic in it. But in any case, you're making all that happen, and you're explaining to people, this is what I'm going up against. And this is what I have to contend with. This is why we're here, guys. And then you have a Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo stream / Third Strike. You have that to close the night out. People get the salt, people get the rage, but you're also making it seem like, oh, it's just practice, guys. I don't care if I lose, as long as I'm trying to learn from the situation, because I'm going up against an opponent that I can't take for granted. And the FGC is also on my back. They hate me. They hate me because I told the truth. They hate me because I am the king of hate. And this is what I'm contending against. I mean, this isn't hard. A little bit of forethought on this, or just someone else who has a lot of creativity, can make something like this happen. Easy marketing. This can be done in less than a month. This is easy. This is easy. It's just, and Phil, you like wrestling, you got to sell a story. The reason why wrestling's kind of shitty now is because we all know how it works. You know what I'm saying? We know who the wizard is behind the curtain and shit. You know what I mean? Dirt sheets and everything like that ain't fucked the game all up. We know too much about how wrestling works now. The images, the flair is gone. No pun intended. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, everybody knows it's fake. But then the storytelling and shit like that, you know who's going to win the match before it ever even happens. It's boring now. Well, depending on what you're watching. WWE is boring as shit. But then it's sports entertainment. It's not wrestling. Anyway, that's why dudes can't tell a story in the ring no more. Anyway, but you build it up like that. You build it up like that. You lead into Friday. You guys each get a couple of thousand people on stream each. And then you guys go into the match and you make that shit happen. You know what I'm saying? You produce all the rage. You produce all the salt. You do all of that shit. An hour, maybe 2 hours of just absolute nonsense greatness. And then at the end of the day, it won't even matter necessarily who won. You know what I'm saying? If you guys can sell it on each one of your games respectfully, and then that third and final game, which would be Ultra Street Fighter 4, if you guys can close it up, not climax, Phil. If you can close it up, if you can bring it all together, and whatnot, no one will care who won or lost. Everybody will just be talking about the story that was told in the build-up to the end. The beginning and the end are important, but the middle is where everything's at. You know what I'm saying? And if there isn't any substance, then who gives a damn about the ending? You got to be able to tell the story. If that was done, this shit could have been profitable. It could have been profitable. Just my opinion.
Community or anything. So I guess that just kind of puts an end to it. Because I literally have no money, number one, to be gambling on fighting games. That's insane to me. That just sounds so silly and stupid to me. I'm gonna gamble on fighting games. No, I'm not. That's really ludicrously stupid. And since LTG seems like he will not play unless there's some kind of financial benefit involved for him, other than people watching his streams, I guess. See, here's the way I thought it. I thought, gee, we'll play, and if we play Super Turbo and Third Strike, right? If I beat him in Super Turbo, people would be, probably contributing to my streams and videos.
It's not about the money. It's not. I'm not here to take a paycheck. He is a hypocrite for saying the stuff he said, okay?
liking me because of that, and he wins third strike, then he's gonna get something out of it because people will be like, wow, he's good at third strike, and contribute to his streams and videos and stuff too. So I figured it was a win-win because I was picking 2 games that won each of us would win each one, and so it would be in fact, I'm not even exaggerating. Someone contacted me in a stream when I was talking about this originally and said, well, if LTG wins, I'm going to tip him $100, and if Phil wins, I'll tip him $100. And I said, yeah, but what if we each win 1 game? That's not fair. And he goes, oh, well, then I'll just tip them each $50. See what I mean? Like, I thought that it would be a mutually beneficial thing for both of us. But I guess LTG didn't see it that way. And you know what? That's his prerogative. It's his choice to do whatever he wants. So I have no ill will towards the guy. You know, I wish him the best. And, you know, I actually, what I want to say...
Now, here's the question. How transparent were you when laying out your intentions to LowTierGod? Did you guys have a conversation about how maybe the financial aspect of it would have worked and the build up for all of this? I don't think you did. I really don't think so. And if you did, you were really just trying to dictate terms, and LowTierGod wasn't about that life. If I had to guess. Because at the end of the day, you wanted to control the circumstances so it gave you advantage. Because you got 2 men here who believe that they're bigger than the other. Now, theoretically, Phil's infamous. LowTierGod has a bit more fame. You know what I mean? Phil's just infamous. And don't get me wrong, being infamous can still be profitable if you play it right. He's an idiot, so it's not going to work for him. But LowTierGod is really holding the cards. And LowTierGod realizes that. Hence the reason why he didn't want to play him. Unless there could be some real benefit to it. At the same time, I feel a certain type of way about LowTierGod not doing it because it almost gives me the impression that he thought he would lose. And that right there is what's allowing Phil to sneak this in here. Because Phil might have picked up on that too. Maybe. Oh, he's not going to play me because he's scared that he's going to lose. And he needed the financial aspect of it because he needed something to comfort him. Just the way, I'm not saying that's what the case is. I'm just throwing that out there so you guys can try to see where my mindset's at. And possibly see where his is at. Me and DSP.
Appreciate that the guy didn't make a shit-talking video about me, because he didn't. He actually made a very respectful video, very straightforward, explaining his stance, and it makes sense. And
as Snort Burnell has said, he doesn't want to build the audience. Because remember what Phil said in the beginning of this video, a lot of their fan bases kind of cross over, which is understandable, to be honest. There's a lot of crossover there. And to be honest with you, LowTierGod just doesn't need that type of negativity right now. He does enough of that on his own. You don't need that association with DSP. Because, to be honest with you, it's a stench that you just can't completely get off. You know what I mean? It's real hard to walk away from that. You know what I mean? Or even if, well, it's probably easy to walk away from it. It's hard to get that stench off of you later on down the line. And that's something that should be taken into consideration.
Appreciate that, because so many people in this era would rather just talk shit. He could have easily just made a video saying, well, DSP's trash, I don't care about him, fuck him. He didn't do that. He instead made a very respectful video explaining, you know, intelligently his stance, and I appreciate that. So, you know, I guess that's it for the challenge. Now people can stop mentioning it.
I got the chair.
Because, you know, it is what it is. I shrug and I say, you know, it would have been a fun event. I think it's a fun event. It would have been a fun event, but that's life. Sometimes shit don't work out, I guess, right? Okay. Oh, by the way, I should mention, LTG also said, oh, well, I'll play Phil in Street Fighter 4 or Street Fighter 5. And I'm just going to say, hell no. I don't play those games. You know, Street Fighter 4, I played a lot of vanilla. And what was the one after that? Super. So probably the first 2 iterations of Street Fighter 4 I did play a lot of. But I didn't really care. Like, I played in tournaments kind of, but not really. It wasn't like I cared so much about it like I did Super Turbo or anything like that. And then after that, when it ended up being 4 or 5 versions of the game, I just stopped caring about it. You know, I would play them casually on YouTube, but I just didn't give a shit about competitive play. You know, at that point in my YouTube career, it was more about me focusing on doing this for a living and doing a variety of games and putting out tons of videos. I just didn't care about competitive Street Fighter 4 after, like, the first year of the game being out. Street Fighter 5, everyone knows I fucking hate the game. You know what I mean? I absolutely fucking hate the game. Hate it. And I'm not gonna play Street Fighter 5. There's no chance in hell I would play Street Fighter 5. You know what I mean? Like, first of all, I'm 2 years behind everyone. I would have to learn the game completely from scratch, because I'm 2 seasons, I only played season 1. I don't like it. I think the game's a piece of shit. It's made for fucking scrubs.
Why am I toxic? More toxic, over dramatic, drama queen toxic.
And that's real talk. Like, I really do feel like the game is made for people who aren't good at fighting games, because it's so simple and just so dumbed down and such a piece of shit. I hate that fucking game. And I'm not playing it. Under no circumstance. You know, if you guys want to see me play on the Rageathon, alright. But I'm not gonna do it as a fucking competitive game against someone as a challenge. That's ridiculous. I might as well challenge someone at fucking, you know, some puzzle game I've never even played before, because it's about the same level. So there you go. There you go. And that's the deal. I guess that's it. There is no challenge anymore between me and LTG, unless the guy changes his mind, but that's my feeling on the subject, okay?
Alright guys, so now let's get to plugs. The shameless plugs, the shameless promotion segment, which I do once a day. Give me your money. Help! Save the pig! What the heck? A pig with a party hat. Hello, Mr. Piggy. Ziggy Piggy. Save the pig, the game. The whole game you're trying to save the pig's life. Help! What pasta do you prefer? I prefer a penne. Oh! Easy to eat. Oh!
We'll finish this out.
Phil's a faggot. Phil's fat. Phil's a loser. Phil's a beggar. Phil's a racist. Phil's a scammer. DSP's a pedophile. DSP is a thief. DSP is a greedy fuck.
This guy's a bitch.
I have a micro penis. Alright, I'm not dead, but I swear to God, I wish I fucking was.
Alright, so some of
Okay, so there we go. I actually miss, if I have to be perfectly honest with you, I actually miss doing long videos like this. It's been a while since I've done that. Then again, 2 hours really isn't that long for me. You guys have been, if you guys have been around any period of time. So there you go on that. Had a good time though, nonetheless. So hope you guys took a lot out of this. There's a lot of missed opportunities on both sides of this. The ghosts of their past still cling on to both of these men. No pun intended with that whole Klingon thing. If you guys might catch the reference, you might not. It's a hard road, to be honest with you. LowTierGod has the talent to get out and really make something of himself. If he really wants it, he has an opportunity to do it. And he's slipping, but he's not slipping in the way DSP is. But he's still slipping. And he needs to get a grip. He needs to let some of these demons in his past let it go. He's got to let them go. He's got to let them go. Because if not, he's not going to be able to move forward. And he's just going to be another DSP. It's just he's not sitting on a couch and he doesn't have gout. He's just going to be sitting in his gamer chair and he's just going to be pissed off. You don't want to end up being just some pissed off old man. You know what I'm saying? You have some talent. You don't have all the time in the world. You know what I'm saying? Denzel Washington didn't become Denzel. You know what I'm saying? He had the age into that. Anthony Hopkins is another one. Morgan Freeman's another one. You know what I'm saying? Tom Hanks is another one. I follow actors too. I don't want to be an actor, but I follow actors too. You know what I'm saying? Greatness takes time. It needs to be able to mature. It has to be able to breathe like a good wine. You know what I'm saying? You don't just crack it open and drink it right away. You got to let the damn thing breathe. You know what I'm saying? So the flavor and everything can be savored. You know what I'm saying? You have to be able to appreciate it. And that's how you got to treat your time in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? And like I said, man, you know, not everybody ages like wine, bro. You gotta, you know what I'm saying? There are other opportunities out there. You don't have to just play off your past. There are other ways for you to get in. And guess what? Like you said, you keep sending your resume out so you can keep getting your acting deals and or auditions and so on and so forth. Guess what? You keep doing it. Because in Hollywood especially, or in LA in general, you have, what, 10,000 other people doing the exact same shit every day? People have to do modeling just to, you know what I'm saying, wait for that big break that for some of them will never have. That'll never show up. That'll never come for them. You got to be diligent, man. You don't need to take the easy way out. And you're slipping, and you're starting to slip into that situation. You don't need that. That's what DSP did all those years ago. And it fucked them royally. I haven't had a chance to see Theo's new video yet, but I've been told that Theo's video actually touched on that a little bit as he made the comparison between, was it 2016 DSP to 2017 or 2017 DSP to this one? And I hear it's a very good watch because people on Twitter keep telling me to watch it. So I'm going to. But don't slip up like him. You've done some research on DSP. You understand what he is and where he went. You don't want to end up like him. You're better than that. And you have a real good opportunity to prove it. If not, then you'll be fighting DSP over fucking bits and cheers and shit into your fucking later years. And you don't need that. You really don't. Because Phil is entrenched in this bullshit to where he can really get away with crap. Because he's been doing it for so goddamn long. Alright guys, that's the end of it. I have a little something special for you guys at the end of the video. Hope you guys like it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is DSP News. Always late, never breaking, unreliable coverage that you can't count on. Yes, a GTG network and productions. I am your host / anchor GTG, and I hope you were able to take something away from this video. Outside of it being cringy and just probably boring. I hope something else comes out of it than that. But if that's all that came out of it, I'm okay with that too. Take care of yourselves. End the broadcast.
Wait, let's not even take it there. My career don't make it fair. Ain't no elevator to success. I had to take the stairs. How you think I made it here? Climbing, climbing. How you think you make it here? Grinding, grinding. I chase after what I want and I don't stop to take a breath. You can't run up on me yet. You need to take baby steps. Who you think you playing with? Nigga, I'm a gamer, yeah. You should check my gamer tag. Fire spitting, kidding. Who you kidding? I will flame your ass. Call of Duty champion, do you know who you aiming at? Nigga, you my son, fuck around and I'll rename your ass. Get you to adoption, make your mama come reclaim your ass.